So any normal person passing on this here bypass, they'd look over at them trees and think, oh, there's a bit of woodland over there, but there's a lot more going off under them trees. You won't believe it, but there's a 1,226 yard long tunnel, which is 127-year-old, and it just exists under that hillside here at Upton. Hardly anybody even knows it's there unless you're a local person. So, in Upton, there's a tunnel, right? Old railway tunnel. And it's known locally as Tunnies, but it's not actually called Tunnies. It's actually called Barnsdale Tunnel. It was opened in 1885 as part of the Barnsley Railway. The actual line itself nearly went into liquidation within a year of actually opening. It was 66 miles in length. It started off at Hull Alexandra Docks and it terminated at Starefoot Roundabout. It was a coal line, so where we stood now in this cutting, there'd have been trains coming through here all the time. The tunnel closed in 1959 to traffic. Just a little bit more about the tunnel. It's got 3 ventilation shafts cut through magnesium limestone, solid magnesium limestone. As you can see, these cuttings here, this is all magnesium limestone. The tunnel will cut through the same sort of rock. So naturally, the tunnel, as you'll find when we get there, it's pretty dry because it's a porous rock. See, it's been raining and this rock is pretty dry, soaks hot water up. You know what I mean? So you'll find when you get into tunnel walls are pretty dry, you know what I mean? And it will cut through solid limestone, you know, and all this will cut out by hand and explosives. And you know, look at vastness about it. It's mad. Obviously we're approaching the tunnel from the west side, and the tunnel ends at Barnsdale Bar Services, or just shy of Barnsdale Bar Services. Right, we're just about, well, 200 yards away from tunnel face now. And what we've stopped to show you is the vastness of the cutting, of the sheer side of cutting. You know what I mean? It's not a steady gradient, as you can see. These cutting edges here, you know, this sheer, you know, you fall off there, you know, you're not coming back. You know what I mean? So I'd say around here, this cutting's about 50 foot deep, and obviously you can see the gradient of the hill. Now we're just going to compare it to the pylon. You know, there's a pylon there, part at National Grid. You know, that stands over the top of cutting, so if you can see, obviously in the background there where the tunnel faces, and you can see this here pylon, just for a comparison of how deep this actual cutting is. You know, it's a deep cutting, it is. Obviously this is the tunnel face. It's quite a vast, you know, just to think it's just sat here. You know what I mean? It's still here to this day. You know what I mean? It's just sat here. How much work and how precise and how much engineering went into actually building that. You know, and people don't even know it's here. Look at that perfect arch with 9 courses of brick. That's symmetrical all the way through the tunnel. That's the tunnel wall. That's what keeps it up. You know what I mean? 9 courses of brick through solid magnesium limestone, 21 foot high. The tunnel itself was built to accommodate 2 tracks, and the Hull and Barnsley were a double track line from end to end. It was designed to be a double track line, so this is a double line tunnel. The characteristics of this actual tunnel, the actual decor of the tunnel is relevant to the Hull and Barnsley line. It's detailed, well, basically all the tunnels on the Hull and Barnsley line were decored in this way. You know what I mean? There's obviously, I think there were 3 tunnels on the line altogether. There was this one, Barnsdale Tunnel, but this tunnel were actually misnamed. It was actually called South Kirby Tunnel, even though it's in Upton. The actual name is South Kirby Tunnel, but the actual proper name of the tunnel is Barnsdale Tunnel. There were this one, Burley Tunnel, Barnsdale Tunnel, and then there were Drewton Tunnel. They were the 3 main tunnels on the line. So this is the only remaining tunnel that you can get in and out of, and it's still in pretty good raft as well. Right, as you can see, right, it's perfectly straight. 1,226 yards long, this tunnel. just short of a mile. It's got 3 air shafts, like I've already said. They've all been capped though. All 3 air shafts have been capped, and that was due because when it was first built, or when it first closed, should I say, in 1959, the air shafts were open, obviously for ventilation. But these shafts are like 80 foot deep. And local youth were breaking into chimneys, right, and putting railway sleepers over the shaft and walking across them. So they had to be collapsed and capped for safety reasons. But the actual shafts itself, they're all still in pretty good nick. Obviously we've got bolt holes over here, and over in this direction here. And these are always, these are the space that are at certain intervals. And obviously when trains used to use tunnel, if there were maintenance crew in the tunnel, they'd use these recesses to get out of the way at tunnel. You know, if there were a train coming, you'd get in here and you'd wait for the train to go by, you know what I mean? You just wait for the train to go by. Can you imagine how mad that'd have been? You know, just sat in here and a big locomotive comes steaming through the tunnel and you just sat in this little boat hole like that, just thinking, don't suck me out. You know what I mean? It's just mad, isn't it, really? Like I said earlier, it's pretty dry in here. You know, even floor's dry. If we look at floor, you know, it's dry. You know what I mean? It's a pretty dry tunnel. Obviously, you will get some moisture, as you can see here. There's also evidence here of BR, repointing work. This is new brick, this. I'd say this has been on. Now, obviously, tunnel wall's been buckling. You can see up there, that's the original tunnel wall. It's in pretty good nick, really. You know what I mean? And it was built out of local brick as well. It's all local brick. You usually generally find that they're built out of the local brick because they're obviously cheapest to source. You know, people didn't have lorries and stuff to move big, bulky items about, so they had to use local sourced materials to build tunnel. These recesses, you can see, these are inspection holes. So obviously, it's just to judge how much water pressure is behind tunnel wall. And you'll find, as you go through tunnel, a lot of these, you see, solid rock. It was built through solid rock, you know what I mean? So it's a good sturdy tunnel. But obviously these will relieve water pressure. And obviously the drainage holes, obviously water will come out of these holes. And it just relieves water pressure on tunnel lining. And it maintains tunnel. Another little bit of information about this tunnel over the years. They wanted to turn it into a maggot farm, but locals said no, we're not having a maggot farm because it smell, and it were also going to be used as a mushroom farm as well. Obviously, perfect place to grow mushrooms down here. It's dark, it's cold, but it's dry. You know what I mean? 150 yards in. This white square on wall, BRB, obviously British Rail Board, HBR3. Now that is the bridge number, Hull and Barnsley Railway 3. Now this bottom here is 132 SH1. This is the shaft number that we're at. So if you look up here, what we've got here, it's first ventilation shaft. Obviously there's water coming out of it or getting rained on. You can probably be able to wear that, but as you can see, it's been capped. Now on surface, even there be chimneys, and the sole purpose, well actually they serve 2 purposes. People just think the ventilation shafts, but they're not. During construction of the tunnel, this shaft would have been used to get out spoil, i.e. magnesium limestone. So what they lifted it out. People think when they dig a railway tunnel, is they just work from end to end. But this is not the fact. What they've done, they've sunk 3. There's 3 of these shafts on this particular tunnel, and they're spaced out at equal intervals. So they'll have sunk a shaft to this level, and then obviously they'll have dug out in either direction until they break through to the next shaft. So that they serve 2 purposes really. Obviously it's been capped for safety issues because your local youth are breaking into it and they're walking across there. You know, and you can imagine it don't take a really intelligent person to think if you're falling down there, you know, you're talking 50, 60, 70 foot. You know what I mean? Easy 70 foot. Maybe 100. You know, it don't look a lot from stood down here. And I don't think camera will be able to get it, but they've actually used for concrete cap. They've actually used railway line. They're not girders up there. They're actually rails off at railway. Really, really good. Really good. In certain parts of the tunnel, that it's not completely dry. You know what I mean? But obviously, at certain parts of the tunnel, you've got these pipes that have been installed. And the sole purpose of them is for drainage. Can you remember me mentioning earlier about the holes that have been braided wall, from inspection up back at tunnel lining? Well, what these pipes are doing is they're draining water off all the time. I mean, if you look, there's water hanging off the top there. I can't reach though, it's a bit highlight. But if you look at wall, this wall's soaking. You know what I mean? It's wet through. And these pipes is to preserve tunnel. If it weren't for these pipes being in wall, the tunnel wall itself would deteriorate a lot faster, and it would just be like, you know what I mean? It would be not in as good a nick as what it is today. So obviously these pipes, they're doing a great job. They keep it wall dry. And if you look further down the tunnel, I think there's some magnet. There's a lot of calcite as well. Oh, you'll find a lot of this as well in this tunnel. Look at it. You think, oh God, look at that. It's solid. That's limestone. It's lime deposits coming out of the wall. Look at it, and it runs down the wall. Mad that, isn't it? How mad is that? Obviously, look at it. Look at it all of it. Bolt hole. Look how wet it is. It's solid. It's stone. Oh man, my hand. But it's just mad how it's just made that effect. Really good. Loads of it. Dry on that side, right? There's none of this, but on this side, there's loads of limestone deposits, and it's wet. So that tells me this part of the tunnel is just on edge at wood, because there's a wood on top of this tunnel that runs all the way along, and it runs along edge at wood. We'll show you later on in the show. But, this suggests to me that this part's a little bit more exposed, and there's a lot more water coming down. But that side of the tunnel, dry as a bone. Mate, obviously, we've shown one of these before. BRB, HBR3, 132. That's obviously Barnsdale Tunnel, shaft 2. So this is middle shaft. The biggest one of the three, this was the main ventilation shaft for the tunnel. The deepest as well. You see that light up top? There's an hole at the top there. And later on, we're going to go to that hole, and we're going to stand on top of the cap. But this is the biggest, this is the widest shaft. Something else about these shafts, the actual shaft's decor, if you look, they've got blue brindles that run around the bottom. Look at them blue brindles. And another thing as well about it is that it's like off to one side as well. It's not even central, is it, Mark? Look how offside it is. Well, this is the deepest shaft, this. Driest as well. Look how dry it is, we're not getting rained on here. Halfway into the tunnel now. Barnsdale Tunnel, 1,226 yards long. You know what I mean? We're at the deepest part of the tunnel, in this limestone tunnel, this limestone rock tunnel, and it's a bit of a mad place, to be fair. You know what I mean? But it's awesome. It's good to come down here. Really easy accessible as well. You can just come down whenever you want. Don't cost though. Just come in. You know what I mean? All right. Right. Here we are, we're at shaft number 3 now. It's at 720 yards. So that's just a scope of the shaft. Not as big, not as wide diameter, this shaft. If we look at it as an inspection. This is like the other side of the hill now, so this is not as deep. You know what I mean? Not as deep as the middle shaft. Obviously these shafts, there's water there. Drop of water. They've all got an hole in top of them as well. And the same design, same shaft really. You know what I mean? It's just shaft number 3. It's still here to this day. Mad. Right, we're at a very, very bottom part of the tunnel for those locals. Now you see this water here, Sharon Spring. coming out of the tunnel wall. Fresh water that you can drink this water. I'm going to drink this, you know, it's spring water. There's no wrong with it, and it's lovely. Right, Sharon, they call it Sharon Spring. Obviously there's a bit of a plaque here. Now, the story goes, we don't actually know who Sharon was, right? We don't know who she was, right? But there's always been a spring in here, in this tunnel, called Sharon Spring. Now, if you used to look on opposite side of the wall over there, I bet there's no remnants of it, but it used to say, in loving memory of Sharon. Now, we don't know who Sharon was. Now, did she get hit by a train, or did she live in this tunnel? There's a few stories regarding to this person, but we need to know who Sharon is, right? Was she a tramp that lived in tunnel, right?
Was she abducted?
Was she abducted? Was she killed by a train, right? What's the story behind Sharon? But it always said, in loving memory of Sharon. Now, apparently, it's haunted, this tunnel, right? The story goes, now whether you believe it or not, but, you know, that's enough on that. Just another little Barnsdale Tunnel fact. It was actually built out of two different sorts of brick, right? This part of the tunnel is actually, I think you've heard me mention blue brindles. Well, these are blue brindles. And you can see freeze-thaw effect on the actual condition of brick. Now, this has been freeze-thaw. All this, you can see all this sort of damage to brickwork. This hasn't been caused by people obviously braying them off, because obviously if you look at the scale of the actual damage, it's all over the wall. This is freeze-thaw effect on bricks. Obviously the freeze-thaw effect, water gets into brick, it freezes, and it's blown out front of brick off. Can you see? Look, this is all freeze-thaw effect. If you look, it's all over the wall. No one's been sat here with an hammer, with a brick hammer, braying all these off. That's just power of nature on wall, on tunnel face. If you look, it's mad, isn't it? But these are a different sort of brick to what you'd find at the Upton end of the tunnel. We're obviously at Barnsdale Bar end of the tunnel, and they're a different sort of brick. And if you look at tunnel face as well, the whole tunnel face on this side is a completely different colour to the Ramsbrook end or the Upton end. So it's just a little fact, that. No way out. Well, I'm fucking pissed off, I am. We've come to the other end of the tunnel, we can't fucking get out. Fuck me. Put a big fucking stupid fence here. No need for it. I'm not happy about that, because we've got stuff to film at the tunnel and that, and we can't get out. Why can't you just leave these things open? You know what I mean? For people to enjoy. 127-year-old tunnel. I think it deserves some praise, doesn't it? It doesn't deserve to be barricaded off so no one can get in. Not happy. Right, so we've emerged out of the tunnel. We've had to walk back through it, and we've decided to come up onto the top now, onto the wood. Now, Barnsdale Tunnel is covered with woodland. It runs under a wood. We're just where we are at the moment. We're just above shaft number 3, so we're at the Barnsdale Bar end of the tunnel. You can see all this area. This is spoil. We're going to come on. There's a few more good examples at spoil heaps. Obviously this is spoil. Usually where shafts are, you'll have heaps of spoil that come out of the tunnel, and it's just muck that they've dug out. It just saves carting it all the way to the front of the tunnel. It just makes it more logistical and more practical to build the tunnel, because obviously the shaft is dug out. So we're going to have a walk down to the shaft now. We'll have a look at cap number 3. Right, when the tunnel were being used, obviously this would not be at this level. What happened is every shaft got collapsed into the tunnel, so it got knocked down. This particular chimney will have been, you know, they've been really high, so you can't get in them. You see like examples of them all over the country, and they're always pretty high. But because it's not being used, and plus all local Upton youth are breaking into them and putting railway sleepers across and walking over them, the council or whoever was the body at the time decided to cap them. So this has been capped, to put a concrete cap on top. And if you look here, there's an hole here. Everyone's got an hole in, they've all got an hole in. Even if I put my hand over it, I can feel draft from the tunnel. And I ain't got a stone or something. If I had a stone, I'd probably drop it in. Obviously, Midland's going to be a lot deeper than this, but this is cap number 3. Another thing about this cap as well, you know, when we were on about in tunnel, and they were all numbered and plated off. There's a same marker as well. So around here, obviously the shaft reference again, BRB, HB. I think that's the HBR3 in it. Obviously, bridge number 132. That's Hull and Barnsdale Railway 132. Bridge number, shaft number 3. So that's shaft number 3, and it is what it is. You know, it's a ventilation shaft, but the main purpose of these shafts was for ventilation and for the spoil. Right, we just stood on top of shaft number 2. Shaft number 2, and if you have a scope round again, we've got a few good examples, more better examples of spoil to our left. Right, sorry. That's all spoil that come out of Barnsdale Tunnel. That I know it just looks like woody hills, but I do assure you that is Barnsdale Tunnel spoil. Right, I'm stood on spoil. This is spoil here as well. And shaft just over here. The concrete cap, so we're going to take a good look at that. Right, out of all the 3 shafts, shaft number 2 has always been the hardest one to find, right, because obviously they've been covered up, these shafts, you know what I mean, over time. The easiest one to find is shaft number 3. Shaft number 1's a little bit tricky to find as well, because it's like shaft number 2, as you can see. If anyone didn't know where it was, you'd have a really hard game on finding it. You can see there's an hole in top. I can feel it breeze again. Have I got a stone? I haven't got a stone again. You know what I mean? But I do assure you, that is the tunnel. And obviously this surrounding area, this is the concrete cap that they've put on top to keep people out. What can you say? It's an hole in the ground to any normal person who didn't know it were here. They just think, oh, it's just a bit of concrete. An 80-foot drop underneath there. I'm stood on an 80-foot drop. If this concrete cap collapsed, I'd be dead. I wouldn't be here for much longer. But you know, it's mad really when you think about it. You know, normal people will just walk by it and just think, oh, it's a bit of concrete, you know what I mean? But it's not. The ventilation shaft that for Barnsdale Tunnel. Right, we're just parked up near A1. Just at Barnsdale Bath, that's where we are, at Barnsdale Tunnel, doing his tunnel documentary. Obviously, we've parked up outside. If you look in my background here, where that electricity pylon is, where I'm pointing at the moment, that's obviously the tunnel face, where we featured that earlier. And if you just come back along the line of trees, you can see the first gathering of trees, which is prominent from the rest of the trees from the woodland. That's where shaft number 1 is. If you carry on, we got that. If you carry on from there, we've got the middle clump of trees. Obviously there's 3 shafts. These clumps of trees are spoil, keep mentioning that. That's where shaft number 2 is, that's the deepest shaft. Obviously it's in the middle of the tunnel. And if we just carry on to the road, to the roadside, you see the third clump of trees. That's obviously where shaft number 3 is. And obviously you can see the relevant clump of trees resembles the spoil which came out of the tunnel. And if you just pan down towards the Shell service station over in the background there, that's where the tunnel ends. So that's the complete 1,226 yard long tunnel from this view from above. You know, and it's pretty well mapped out really, as you see. You can see a definite line of trees, and obviously the line of trees is the tunnel basically. So on that note, really, that's what we've come out to do today. We thought we'd do a little documentary on a local Victorian relic that exists in our local community, and it's part of our heritage from round here, particularly a big part of Upton's heritage. I think every person who ever grew up in Upton can remember going down tunnel as a kid. You know, it holds a place in a lot of people's hearts of being a place you went as a child. You know, it's not just a tunnel, you know, there's a lot more going off in tunnel than what you'd actually really expect. So, cheers for watching. I'm Colin The Head. It's been a pleasure. Bye.